her for the record.
This is Commission hearing number 173 of Thursday, 8 July 2021, in case 168 Michel and Doris Barbier, case 224 Giselle Alisob, case 169 Gilbert Eliza, and case 245 Peter Georges Payet.
Thank you. Can you please call the witness?
Peter Georges Payet.
More source core. Yeah. More say that. Yeah. Okay. Moi, Peter Georges Payet, on fait serment qu'il est évidemment pardonné, et la vérité, toute la vérité, rien que la vérité, et qui m'a tiré de moi.
Thank you, Mr. Payet, for appearing before the Commission today. So you're the complainant in this case, and we understand you want to start in open session.
Yes.
And then we'll go into closed session.
Yes.
So we'll let you tell us when you want to go into closed session.
Yes.
But we would invite you to please set your complaint out before us.
Mm-hmm.
Take your time, and if you need to adjourn at any time, just let us know. And we're happy to accommodate you.
Thank
But
you.
the floor is yours. So thank you for appearing today.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, Commissioners. I would like to make a brief statement before I start. I would like to thank Mr. Andy Fontaine, who helped and saved the life of my father. He was here 2 weeks ago. He was a police officer, and he refused to hand over my father to some thugs that had come to take him. I would also like to thank Mr. Jean-Pierre Poul. He's the person that took my father's letter from the prison. He was an army officer at the time, and put it under the gate of the British Embassy. It was a letter to the Amnesty International, and which triggered Amnesty International to come to Seychelles. I have provided you with copies of appropriate documents, which you have in your possession, and that helped to get my father released from from detention. My father suffered gross human rights violation, deprived of his liberty, deprived of his properties, deported from his country, leaving my mother behind with 5 kids, with no source of income. Sorry if I get emotional, because although the years have passed, these violation doesn't go away. It leaves scars on people's life. my father was the elected member for Pralin at the time of the Montcalm presidency. And hence, I suppose that's why he was targeted to be victimized. He was put on a plane to England, without knowing where he was going, where he would end up. But luckily at the time, I was in England studying with my sister, my younger sister. So we managed to accommodate him and help him, to get through this trauma.
Monsieur Payet aussi capable de causer en créole, si vous voulez, à
Oh.
cause d'un open session, dis-moi, préféré.
OK,
Préféré en créole.
pas de problème.
Bon, ben,
Madame
ça-
Purvis, yes, ma cause en créole. Ouais. Raison qui nous l'a aujourd'hui, c'est pour try and put right what has been done to our family. Mon cousin en anglais encore là. Mon vivre en Angleterre 20 ans, mon.
Yeah.
Mon papa, tu gagnes deprive of beaucoup quelque chose.
Monsieur Payet, juste pour l'audience, qui peut-être pas connaît lesquels ou papa.
Mon papa,
Vous êtes capable de nommer son nom.
Daniel Payet. Daniel Payet. Mon nom, mon Peter Payet. Mon nom 5C. En Delta, il est l'OCF. Lydia, il parlait. Daniela, il resté la France comme là, il m'a aidé. Lucille, mon il travaille pour National Health Service comme un expert dans le physio. Après, mon dernier, c'est Rita, qui est là avec moi. Ça nous famille, 5 filles et un garçon. Les temps mon papa, quand il est déporté, mon papa, c'est encore zen, very young age. Mon matin à l'Angleterre pour moi à l'école. Et mon père CB ici, a une grosse human rights violation qui nous mettait dans mon famille. Mais c'est le moment de sentir. Alors, les temps, dans une ville d'Angleterre, moi qui ai besoin de pick up the pieces. Et tu prends quand tel est temps pour nous avoir un moment que moi c'est tous les semaines, moi je mon MP dans sa district que moi j'ai pu rester, faire lui mettre pression pour nous faciliter aux autres venir. À la fin, bon Dieu, je suis à Bouvini et je suis venu à l'école d'Angleterre. mon papa, tous les deux morts. C'est ça qui m'ont là aujourd'hui, parce que pour les autres, et behalf, mon famille. Pareil, mon previous complainants in these autres, les gens ont victimisé total avec ce régime qui se fait un coup d'État. Je prends tout business, je prends propriété, ou pas pour vivre dans un pays comme si pays pour les autres. Ça qui est sad, qui m'a moment mort, et qu'un regret. Ça dit moun qui ne fait tout ça là avec les autres. Et ça dit moun qui chaque fois qu'ils viennent parler, mon maman qui puisse manger. Ça c'est ex-président Albert René. Il vient contre nous, dans nous la case. Les gens qui viennent parler, c'est mon seul Lydia. Il amène son manger dans une bicyclette. Pour son la case. Chaque fois Lydia y a, elle donne Lydia 5 copies. Ça bonne time, 5 copies, 5 $. Nous pouvons cause 45 ans passés. Et mon maman, avant, il m'a dit, nous, il dit, mais le savon de l'étang, il met un poison dans son manger. À cause de ça aussi, qui fait mon famille passer à travers, parce que physique. Donc, pour nous bonne propriété, Zimbabwe, contre les Maïsiers, étaient aujourd'hui là. Pour nous là. Parce que tout fort. Il y en a 108 ans pour la terre. Je dis, notre lot là, je te mets un sémin d'un millier. Et ce qui est là, ça ne nous a aucune compensation. Nous avons la Supreme Court. Supreme Court, il appointe mon sœur comme exécutrice avec mon cousine. Nous faisons la guerre pour gagner what's rightfully ours. À cause de mon grand-maman, qui a acheté 21 bouts de la terre pour gagner à la terre. 20 bouts de la terre, 21 bouts. Mon tout document, mon répertoire, mon supporting documents qui est là, avec moi, qui m'ont quitté avec les autres. Depuis au commencement, est-ce qu'il est là? Ça l'a été en réalité pour nous. Il n'est pas pour l'État, il n'est pas pour personne. Après le document, est-ce qu'il est là-dedans? Code registrar says that. Tout ça document qui m'a dans mon code registrar, mon besoin de payer un researcher pour faire un travail avec. Et il prend les sauter des ans pour nous gagner à cause que tout ce historical document c'est it's a joke. Totally a joke. À cause tout pays, tout bon historical document à the touch of a button ou pour gagner. Ici, vous avez besoin de bon vieux livre qui peut ne tombe pas à bout. Il n'y en a pas y manqué. Il y en a même documents qui nous devraient tant, non? Nous ne pouvons pas à cause pas y manquer.
When your father was arrested,
Yes.
that was in 1978, the first batch of arrests.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Was he legally represented at all? Was he taken to a court, or do you know what
No.
happened?
No, ma'am. He had no representation at all. You know?
And was he told why he was arrested?
No, he was never told.
He was never told.
No.
Because we did find in the Kew Gardens
Mhm.
archives a document which the Commissioner of Police had shared with the UK ambassador, and it alleges that your father and Ahmed Dauphin were in direct contact with Joubert and had received instructions to assist with the invasion. Apparently they were organising, and that your father and Ahmed Dauphin were to start an armed civil disturbance in Praslin, assist in hiding arms in Praslin, and ensure that the police of Praslin were neutralised. And this they had began to execute and had already arranged with 2 police officers to destroy the communication system and to seize arms in the possession of police. And Dauphin had sent his wife to Mauritius to receive further instructions. So because there was this detention review tribunal, the people were interested, you had Amnesty involved, what was happening with these people. And the Commissioner of Police said, this is the report that we gave the detention review tribunal.
Yeah, I saw that report because I was in direct contact with Amnesty International. At the time, I was in UK. And as usual, this regime at the time just told lies to everybody. They lied about the coup d'etat. They lied about everything else. So the international community had no confidence in what they were saying. That's why people from Seychelles seeking asylum at the time was getting asylum, although the government here in Seychelles was sending negative reports about them. Because
I mean, even the ambassador at the time, or the High Commissioner, questioned the veracity
yes,
of the claims. And it
Yes.
was recognised that there was a certain paranoia
definitely
on the part of the
paranoia.
government that,
Yes.
you know, something was going to happen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because, Madam Commissioner, I worked for the ex-president, Mr. James Montcalm, for 5 years as his personal assistant. I traveled with him. We spent most of the days together. Even his wife used to ask me, "What do you do all day?" And I said, I never answered her because I had no answer for her. But I can tell you and the public now that Mr. James Montcalm never wanted to do a counter coup, never wanted to hurt anybody in Seychelles. This I know because what he used to say to me, if we do a counter coup and one person gets killed, I can never live with myself. That's what he used to say to me. And I know the man personally. I used to book his travels. I used to take his clothes to the laundry. I used to drive him around. I spent 5 years with him.
Was that when he was in England or?
When he was in England.
Okay.
Yeah, after the coup d'etat, because after the coup d'etat, I had just completed my studies in business, and I was looking for a job because I knew I couldn't come back to Seychelles because of the situation of my father.
Yeah.
So he offered me a job, and I gladly took it, and I thank him for it, and his family. He's passed away, but you know, I'm grateful. because I learned immensely from him. You know, I traveled with him. He wrote books. You know, I used to take it to be typed. I used to do some research for him. You know, I was shifting through all these things that Alberini had given to Paul Chow to bring back to England for him, for us to get documents to write the book, Paradise Rape. You know, we worked on it together, and then at the end, he got a ghostwriter to go over it. And the ghostwriter is the famous writer, Ian McGill, you know, an Irishman. So I knew exactly, you know, what was happening. But on the side of Mr. James Mancam, there was no coup d'etat ever planned. But he always told me, if the boys wants to go and do a coup d'etat, I will help them, because I feel it's my duty. Because if Mancam wanted to do a coup d'etat, he could have done it. He had powerful friends, you know. He had powerful friends. The royal family of Saudi Arabia, before the coup d'etat, had given him $75 million to do housing for the people of Seychelles. And now when I hear, you know, them are saying that, well, nous faisons la case pour du monde. Mais la case s'appelle quand il fait lui. En 1970, l'État fait coup d'État, $75 million was a lot of money pour un petit pays pareil Cécile.
We know from the handbook, the coalition government handbook, that there was a plan under the coalition government that each Seychellois would get their own home.
Yes.
That was their plan, and they were
Yes.
going to implement that. They'd started working on it.
Yes.
So we know that that's verified by the written government policy at the time.
It's a fact,
Yeah.
ma'am. You know, the other day I heard the driver of President Renault came here. Said Mr. Renault got angry because Mancam would not give him the money to build houses. But that's not true, because I saw all the blueprint. Because I was doing all the secretarial work for the man, and I know, and people was phoning up us. You know, what can we do? How can we help? And he said, look, if I'm going to go down to Seychelles and one person is dead, I don't want to know. I'm not interested. You know, let the coup d'etat run its course, and Seychelles will change which has happened. It has changed. You know, now we have a new feeling on this land. You know, people are not afraid anymore. Your land are not being taken and not used. Our family land has been taken and it's just left lying here. You know, we have a property at Cape Verde, near Captene, 108 acres was acquired, and it's there. Nothing has been done to it, except they've cut little bits out of it. But it's our land. Documents are here. That says my great-grandfather bought the land, and he never sold it. We never got any compensation. You know, we've our family have suffered greatly historically. Even my great grandfather, he gave the church a piece of land to build the church, and eventually they took the land from the sea to the mountain. They said it's you know, we've acquired the land because we've been on it for 20 years. But he sold you just where the church is for 800 rupees at the time. they paid 400, and the 400, there's no record it was ever paid. Now, they've, they said our prescription, we've acquired the land, but prescription is where you have lived. You have not lived from the seat to the top of the mountain.
The land you said that Zimbabwe,
Yes.
has it been developed or it's still?
No, it's what they've done, Mr. Green. They put a road up to the station,
Yeah.
the SCA station, and adjacent are little roads that goes to other properties, and it's there. Nothing on it. There's little bits where people have just gone into it because I suppose they see a land, they need a space to build a house. They've done so. We have no problem with that. What we are saying, just give us our land back, and we'll get on with our lives. Because historical documents doesn't lie. The documents are here. I've got this suitcase
So you brought a suitcase.
is full of documents. 4 years work of research. That's what I do. I'm a researcher. I research for Mr. Manka many things. For us to move forward, restitution has to happen.
It's provided for in the Constitution.
Exactly. And what I'm hopeful, the new president has pronounced himself, say, look, land that has not been used, just give it back to the people that owned it. Because our forefathers, they bought this land with an idea in mind that their siblings will get something at the end of the day. I cannot look at myself. I've done well because, I've worked in England, I've done business. But there's 11 other heirs of my great-grandfather. They are poor. I'm not asking it back for me. I've been lucky. I've lived in England. I've produced records. I've had nightclubs, and but I cannot be selfish. That's the reason I'm here today. Not because of me. I don't want to be seen on TV, pronouncing things. No. I'm here because I want people to know. Because historical facts will go down in history as historical facts. I've followed the session. I've seen people come here saying this and that. They lie. Tell the truth. The truth will relieve you of the burden. Encourage other people to come and tell the truth. My father died of a broken heart. Mr. Green, you must know my father from Friday.
I knew him very well from a long, long time back.
Yeah. And he was a man that helped people.
Yeah.
Always. He built houses for people out of his own pocket. This nonsense about getting houses for free. Houses for free started a long time ago with the low-cost housing projects. Houses was given to people because there was limited amount of houses in Seychelles. Social housing started in colonial times. historical documents are there to show this. This coup d'etat kept Seychelles 25 years behind. And today we are still paying for it because the resources of the country which should have been here is not here. That's why now we have to go back to the IMF. We are rich people culturally. We are good people. Seychellois have thrived internationally. No?
Got the parcel number for the land?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
I've got the repertoire here with all the details on it, and I had given copies already, but I've underlined, and you can keep this. You can keep this. There's another one here. And I've got all the supporting documents. I've got all the supporting documents too that goes with it. Also, this is for the land concerning the church. No, I have a copy. Yeah, you can.
Monsieur Oscar Payet, tu grand-papa ou bien arrière-grand-papa?
Oscar Payet?
Oui.
Mon arrière.
Ah,
Mon grand-père, moi, c'est Georges de Silva. Georges de Silva.
Georges de Silva est papa ou papa?
Non, Georges de Silva, papa, mon grand-maman. Papa Yolande de Silva.
Écoutez un coup.
Yolande de Silva qui se marie avec monsieur
Amédée
Oscar
Payet.
Payet.
Yes.
Amédée.
Oui, Oscar Payet. Is known as Amédée. That's why Oscar.
Oscar Amédée.
Amédée, yeah.
Même dit Monza.
Oscar Payet, mon grand-papa. lui.
Ok.
Et les autres petits morts, est-ce qu'ils ont fait un testament et quelque chose?
Mon grand-maman tient dans sa testament. Lui. C'est mon
Ou pas qu'on ait?
papa.
Il n'a pas copie de l'enregistrement.
On n'a pas coupé l'enregistrement. Ça qui construit l'enregistrement ici. Vous voyez? Même mon papa tient dans une liste, 99-year list, où elle a été avec British government, it was called Crown Land. Le temps pour l'État, c'est quand il fait, ça me fait si quand il dit, mon cancel ou liste. Mais là, l'enregistrement n'a pas.
De laisse avant la tête, Tigan, il prend. Je pas Tigan informé dans aucune façon.
Non, parce qu'il est informé.
Comment il y a les autres qui connaissent après?
Nous connaissons l'état mon papa tourne Cécile. Mon papa, l'état mon latin gagne pour là. Mon papa gagne, at the same time mon papa peut gagner déporté. Is the time qui to get tout bon latin. Vous connaissez, a lot of people has been here, so expliqué. L'état gagne victimisé avec ça ancien gouvernement. It's like a snowballing effect.
Oui, oui, ça tu peux se dire. Ça tu
Ouais,
peux exilé,
je prends business.
Tout son la tête, oui.
Je prends business, je prends bus service en l'eau pour aller mon papa qui tire, non? J'amène tout le monde à l'école free, je prends son bus service, il tient dans le paillet de tous. Son bis qui doit être pour les autres louer, son propre bis. Après, je dis que comme ça, après 6 heures du soir, pas bien doit service à bis. Un jour, mon beau-frère s'appelle un client, je mets une grenade là-dedans. Je dis la grenade, je prends une petite pine là-dedans. Par exemple, mon beau-frère, il tend une grenade pour aller venir. Il tend quelque chose pour aller venir dans le bus. Il a arrêté, il a été la grenade. Il a dit, record, garde. Il a le dit, la autre grenade, on quitte dans le bus. It was total humiliation, step by step. Vous connaissez? Vous commencez quand? Vous allez. In the end, they break you up. Mon papa, il était mal joigné. Mon papa, c'est dans l'armée. Mon papa tient un short putter. Monsieur Grunic, on tient un homme costaud. L'état, moi, commencé à mal Terminal 4, Heathrow Airport, pour mal joigné. There's a long gangway. Por exemplo, mo vin por esse lá, por mo conta, mo pelo ali. Ele tá mo ali e cas contu para co ali. Mo cacete. I was shocked. Mo como pleurer. Mo como pleurer. It took me a while. Por exemplo, que mo besoin faire. Mo besoin les sélection de Charlie. Walked along the whole gangway from the exit. Mas eu ainda en bout pour regarder ta compose sur moi les quoi cause mon facile traumatisé plus qu'il est traumatisé. Première parole il dit mon petit il dit on me gagne baiser. This was his exact word. They totally destroyed him. And although he lived in England, quand il restait en Angleterre, c'est un métier bien normal. Tout le temps que le docteur, connaît, ils apportent de mort. Ouais. Par exemple, imaginez un bouc qui a tout quelque chose. Il y a un n'a pas rien. Moi, juste moi qui peux travailler pour son tout le monde. Until the whole family got political asylum, which was not easy at the time. You know, it was backwards and forward, but I was determined. You know, I was lobbying the parliament, I was lobbying my MP. You know, I was, you know, sometimes I said to myself, I must be a pain for the poor guy. But, you know, if people felt what I felt, they would realize why I was doing it. And then there's other Seychelles was coming across. They were getting stuck at the airport. They were going to be sent back to Seychelles. And we had to go and try and rescue them. Sign bond for them. Because these poor people, they come to England, they don't know. You know, some of them, when they get to the airport, they get to the immigration. The immigration will ask them, what's the purpose of your visit? Because obviously they come on a visitor's visa. They say, well, I come to exile. Straight away, they put them in a holding area you know, trying to get people to do something for them. And once they had managed to enter the UK, it was another process. We had to go and get them what they call dole, housing, and it was a task. But we pulled through it. You know, the perpetrators, I suppose, did not realize the impact of the action. The impact was immense. These poor people suffered. I mean, when you think about it, you know, you come from a beautiful country like Seychelles, warm weather, and you are thrown into England at winter time. I know that because I lived in England for over 20 years. You know, when you come from a warm climate into a cold one, it's traumatic. It's traumatic because you started to get cold, your health, if you're not careful, will go down very quickly. And that's what happened to a lot of Seychellois that came from here. You know, but
The businesses that your father had, like he had a small hotel and a tour company.
Dan Payet Tours.
Oui.
Yeah, Dan Payet Tours. He had the best Creole restaurant on Pralay at the time, the Britannia.
I remember.
It's still here today. My sister runs it, but at the time it was taken.
Did he get any compensation for that?
Nothing.
Seriously?
My mother and my 5 sisters had to go and live in a small little house at Anskelon. They had to leave the place. They could not stay there anymore.
No.
My mother was not working. My father was in England stuck. They had no income because the travel agency had stopped functioning. The car business had stopped functioning. The cars was taken. It was traumatic.
And no compensation for any of
No,
this?
any compensation. Even my father was the MNA for Pralay at the time. There was one district of now there's 2 districts of Pralay. There was one district at the time. He was the elected member for Pralay. Mr. Green knows that.
There were 2, he and Joubert.
Yeah. You know, and my father died with nothing. In his last days, you know what my father was doing? Farming.
When he was deported to the United Kingdom, was he able to find a job in the UK?
No, ma'am.
No,
His health had started to deteriorate severely. You know, from a big tough guy to a skinny guy. That's why I could not meet him first time at the airport. I had to hide behind a pillar and then, you know, compose myself because I was shocked. Luckily, I was there in England, you know, to help them.
The Britannia, was it also taken by government at the time?
The Britannia was not entirely taken, but a proxy was put there to run it. And what this proxy did, he pillaged it. You know, whatever was of value was removed, and he tried to run it for a while. Obviously, if you haven't got the touch to run a business like that, quickly it deteriorates. And then he walked out and left the shell. And my sister Lydia, who had stayed behind, she had to spend enormously to get the place to its original state. Whatever could be pillaged was pillaged.
How did this person get the proxy? Who gave them the proxy to run it?
Ma'am, the government at the time, they ruled by decree. You know, the president would wake up in the morning, you know, write a little note and say, well, go to that place and take it. It was like it was in Zimbabwe when they took people's farm. And people would just go there and take it.
It was at the president's discretion, or the president decided. So the president decided that someone else should run the Britannia.
Yeah, they would run it. Even they don't know how to run it, they would run it because
It just seems crazy, right? It's such a intrusion into
yes,
a private
the man
business.
thought he was God. He could do anything, and nobody was stopping him. He got delusioned. That's why he was saying attempted coup, and you know, because we knew for a fact he was more scared than the people he was victimizing. But the henchman around him was the one doing the dirty work. He was hiding behind the henchmen.
But
They were doing all the dirty work for him. Even they came to England. They bugged Mr. Mancham's house.
Oh.
They bugged his house at the back of his office and on the electric post.
When was that?
In 78, 79. But we were in contact with Scotland Yard, and they sent a debugging team to debug the place.
The place was bugged.
The place was bugged.
Oh,
Yes, definitely. Everything Mr. Mancam was saying was being relayed to our Berenier here.
Where was the house? Was it in London somewhere?
Putney Bridge.
Oh,
Before he was staying at Buckingham Gate, which is the road to Buckingham Palace, just before the gate.
Yeah.
He had a penthouse there. Then a few years later, he moved to Putney Bridge on Thames.
Was that the one at Deodar Road?
Deodar Road, yes, exactly. That's the place. And that's where they managed to get access to the property, because it was not as secured as Buckingham Gate. Because Buckingham Gate, there were secret agents everywhere along the road there. You know, I know it because I used to see them in the mornings, you know. But when he moved to Deodar Road at Putney Bridge, that's where it was open sesame. They bugged the place. They from the Thames, you could come with a little boat at the end of the garden and get entry to the perimeter of the property. And I'm sure that's what they were doing. And also they bugged him on the electric post just on the other side of the road from his house. They although he was not interested to do a coup d'etat, but he was not left alone. One day we were coming back from Glastonbury, where his son was at boarding school. We got hit by a French lorry, right where he was sitting at the back in his Daimler, and the door swung open. And I didn't stop. I couldn't stop. I just said to him, hold on to the door, don't let it open. And we drove straight to Buckingham Gate. Where his penthouse was at Buckingham Gate, there was an underground garage. I pressed the remote control and I went straight down there. And then we breathed a sign of release. And then we did the procedures with the authorities. But I think it was a lucky. It was, we were very lucky, because I was traveling at 160 kilometers an hour in this Daimler, and we got it just by the back door, because he used to sit at the back door, left-hand side always. We got hit there, and the door caved in and it swung open. And he was scared. Anyone would be, I think.
But that was an accident? It was...
No, ma'am, I cannot say, because I didn't stop. I didn't dare stop, because, I don't know what would have happened next. But it was, I noticed it was a French lorry. The driver was on the left, and we came to a roundabout. He was coming like this, and we were already on the roundabout to the exit, and he hit us here. With somebody on board of his stature, I couldn't stop. I just put my foot down, and a Daimler can travel. This I can assure you, with a 4.2 engine in it.
Did you want to move into closed session now, Mr. Payet, or have you more for the public session?
No, the reason I wanted to do the closed session was this document I wanted to present to the bishop. As he's not here, I've presented it to you.
Yeah, unfortunately. He should be back soon.
Copy, this copy. This is concerning a property. Because things concerning the church is delicate. So I didn't want to humiliate anybody or accuse anybody. But I've provided a copy of the document, and hopefully copy can be transmitted to him.
We hope to have him back very soon, and we can definitely point this document out to him in particular.
But I've done, concerning the lands, I've done all the research, which will save you a lot of time. I've got all the supporting documents, and when
I mean, it was great to get all of these newspaper articles and everything from you, because those contemporaneous reports really help us understand the cases.
Yeah.
So with respect to the land documents, we actually did have copies of these two. Were there other documents in your suitcase?
all the supporting documents. There's a suitcase full of it, so it will take years maybe.
I'm a pretty quick reader.
But what you could do is look through the ones that's are related. Yeah. But my great grandfather was a good. I think he saved all his documents. Unfortunately, most at the time, all his document was written in French. So Mr. Green, all his, but I'm lucky to have been able to retrieve them.
Did you want to leave them for Mr. Green to read?
No, I will leave.
Yeah,
I will
yeah,
leave.
that would be good.
I will leave
Yeah.
the files
Yeah, that would be good.
and everything.
Yeah.
You can keep it as long as you need them, because I've done my work. I wanted the family to at least get the facts out so that people knows, and then the perpetrators, they know what they did, and Mr. Andy Fortin had laid out what happened to my father when he came, and I thank him for saving my father's life, because surely, he would have been gone, Mrs. Purvis, talking about the Britannia, one of the perpetrators was one of the people that ran the Britannia for a while.
Who was that?
I cannot say it in public. I will write it down, because I'm not here to shame anybody or to Unfortunately, he's dead. So we won't be able to get him here too. Because Mr. Andy Fortin mentioned he was one of the people that came to get my father. So he had his reasons, I suppose, to get rid of my father.
But then he got a bit of land and did his own hotel.
He got a massive bit of land which belonged to a gentleman which they acquired.
Oh, this was acquired land as well. Yes.
Yes. And they put a massive, if I say the name, people will know who it is. But Mr. Green knows. He got a third of a piece of a mountain, and you know who it belonged to? The old guy.
It's a sale to the Anglican Church. Only the piece. It says on. What's that in there? It says it's bounded. To the north and to the south by the surplus of the land of Mr. Emil Ali on a length of 100 French feet that I have to explain to you. On the east side by the Anglican Church on a length of 38 French feet, and to the west by the surplus of the land of Emil Ali.
So, Mr. Payat, have you ever tried to get any redress for the land from anybody?
No, we haven't, ma'am.
No, okay.
Because, you know, we spent many years in England, and, you know, and we came back when the multi-party was announced. And my poor mother, she never wanted to come back. But, you know, she came back out of loyalty to my father. But redress, we would never have got redress. Now maybe we can get redress because the president have pronounced himself on the illegally acquired land. He has pronounced himself. And we are, you know, we are okay with that. Whatever's not been developed, you know, we would humbly take it back. You know, at least the next generation of our family will profit.
We'll take all those land files for Mr. Green,
Yes.
right? He'll enjoy it.
2 hours to the day.
That will you? That'll take you to 3 o'clock in the morning. No. Yeah. Yes, but I mean, thank you very much, and you've told us some very interesting information about Mr. Mankam. So we appreciate that. It's all for our context. You know, when we do our final report, we want to really have a good sense of the context at the time.
Yes.
So we appreciate
You know,
that.
I did an interview with the BBC concerning that, because at the time, you know, there was all accusation flying around that Mankam was behind or organizing coups. So I had to talk to the press and say no, because when you are a guest in a foreign country, you cannot do these sort of things. Especially the British government, they are very strict with that. And it was damaging his reputation because you know, during that time, you know, he had decided to, you know, to live a life away from Seychelles. You know, he was, at that time, he learned to play tennis. He learned to drive in England. You know, he was going to a driving school and learning to drive. He learned to play tennis, and you can see the man had decided he doesn't want to get involved in any coup d'état. And when I hear people say Mankam was this one, no. If he wanted to do a coup, he had the people and the backing and the finance behind, because he was always in contact with the CIA. He was there, but he never wanted to do that. But he always said to me, he said, if the boys are interested to do the coup, I will help them, but I won't take part in it. And that was it. You know, so if people come say says otherwise, it's not true. because I know, I worked with him, I lived with
And
him, we
what
traveled together.
What year did you do those interviews? Do you remember?
89,
89.
yeah,
We can
yeah,
see if we can locate any of them.
yeah, 89.
Yeah.
Because we had to defend ourselves. We were guests in a foreign country. I mean, although I had got a British citizenship at the time, but still, you have to respect the laws of the country where you are living. I suppose the government was saying these things to destabilize their opponents. But Mankan always talked of peace. He was the peace ambassador. He was invited to a lot of forums where he talked about peace. He wrote poems about peace. Reflection and Echoes. A book of poems called Reflection and Echoes.
No. So thank you very much again, Mr. Bahiyat. We have no further questions for you unless you have something you would like to add.
No, I have no further things to say. But I just want to give Mr. Green a copy of a document,
Yeah.
because he, as he's from Pale, when you have a time, read it,
I'll make time.
and maybe you'll get in touch with me and give me your opinion on it, because this is very old document.
I know. No, make,
It looks like a very old document. Mr. Green, better look after it. Don't lose it, Michael.
no.
No. Okay. All right. We will take all your files. So you've done our work for us, which we
Yes.
always appreciate.
I have,
It makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, I have, and I will leave the suitcase here.
That would be great. Thanks. And, yeah, we'll get onto it. You can just park it next to Michael's desk. Yeah. But thank you again.
It might take years to live.
He's quick. Yeah. So thank you very much again. It's very nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Thank you. Yes. Yeah. No. We do our best.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we will adjourn now and we will return tomorrow, but we will be in closed session until 1 o'clock.
All rise.